Hello, my name is Peter Babyenda, and I am a lecturer in the Department of Policy and Development Economics, School of Economics, College of Business and Management Sciences, Makerere University. But I am also the Policy Engagement Specialist for the Inclusive Green Economy, IGE Capacity Building Program for the senior public servants in Uganda. IGE is a regional course that is facilitated across Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Ethiopia, facilitated by our colleagues from the University of Gothenburg and financed by SIDA. And today I'm here to talk about the importance and the use of climate-smart agricultural practices in Uganda. And my outline is, I'll start by briefly talk about the land use in Uganda, talk about the climate-smart agriculture as a pathway to mitigate climate change, talk about the objectives and examples of climate-smart agricultural practices, talk about briefly the climate-smart agriculture in Uganda, talk about some of the policy instruments that we can actually use to influence the adoption of climate-smart agricultural practices in Uganda. And then what next? So in terms of the land use, we see that 72% of Uganda's land is for agriculture. Agriculture occupies around that. But what we also see, according to the UBOS report of 2014, that this agriculture, the percentage of agricultural land keeps on increasing at a rate of about 1. And if this one continues increasing for that, by 2040, where our vision, we talk about vision 2040. By 2040, we shall have agriculture will be accounting for 90%. But also we see that 41% of the Uganda's land is facing degradation, and 12 of which 12% is really in severe, and this calls us that we need to do something. So there are various, as well as be seeing, practices of climate-smart agricultural practices that are being undertaken, but the rate is very, very low, standing at 30% as we talk now. The natural forest is declining. As you can see, in 1950s, 54% of the Uganda's land was under forest cover. 2013, it reduced to 20%. In 2015, it had even gone to around 9%. But now, thanks to the private plantations, it has now gone to 13% by 2020, as per the NEMA report. So what is this thing we are calling climate-smart agriculture? Climate-smart agriculture was developed by the UN Food and Agriculture Organization in 2010, and this was largely brought as an approach to address the interrelated challenges of climate change and food security. So it was an integrated approach. It is an integrated approach to manage cropland, livestock, forests, fisheries, in ways that address the interlinked challenges of climate change. Here you have changes in climate that are affecting agriculture, but also food insecurity. As you know, this continues to ravage our communities. So as a way of solving all this, FAO came up with climate-smart agriculture. Now, this was largely based on the fact that, as we know, whereas agriculture is affected by climate change, but also agriculture is actually one of the key contributors of climate change. So therefore, there is need to address the greenhouse gases that are emitted from the agricultural practices, at the same time build resilience of the farmers to ensure that they are able to hedge themselves against the effects of climate change. Now, the climate-smart agriculture is largely built on 3 pillars. The first pillar is the productivity. So this is all about how do we increase the agricultural productivity so that we are able to feed the increasing population. Remember, population is increasing, agricultural land is not increasing, the fertility is reducing, so how do we increase that? This one will also help to increase the incomes, and we are able to solve the problem of poverty. Number two, adaptation, building resilience of the people, of the farmers, especially the rural farmers, to be able to adapt to the changing climate. Then lastly, mitigation. So here you're looking at reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, some of them from the agricultural practices. So the kissing of and the key contribution of the climate-smart agriculture hinges on the broader goal of sustainable agriculture. In other words, having agricultural practices that meet equity. So you are meeting today's needs, the needs of today's generation, but at the same time, not forgetting the future generation. So whereas we want to meet, we have so many younger people who are not employed, we want to make money from agriculture so that we can be rich, but we need to mind of the future generation. So equity here is key. Therefore, the climate-smart agriculture aims at it transforms and reorients existing agricultural practices. So we are not running away from the agricultural practices that we have, but how do we reorient them? How do we improve them so that we are able to respond to the changing realities? Fertility is reducing. Rainfall patterns are no longer reliable how they used to be. So now we have to come up with ways. How do we harvest water for production? How do we make this land to be more productive? And two, it helps to identify practices and technologies that help to achieve the triple wins, which I've already talked about, the triple wins of productivity. So we need to increase productivity and incomes. We need to how do we mechanize agriculture? Remember, as we are mechanizing, you might also come up with a problem of, if you're mechanizing using heavy tractors that are using a lot of fossil fuels, so you have more fumes again, producing more fumes. How can we do it sustainably so that maybe we start using solar, wind-powered, irrigation and all that. So that's what we are talking about here. Adaptation, increasing adaptability and resilience. So this could be through livelihood diversification. Instead of only depending on agriculture, you have some animal. And if you have animals, for example, you have a piggery, you can be using waste from the piggery as manure for your crops. So in this case, you can see the interlinkages here. You can manage water management. You are using animal, for example, you are generating biogas, and biogas you can use it to cook, you can use it to light, you can use biogas as a source of energy, and we are seeing demonstrations are coming up. Many farms are doing this. Your agroforestry practices, so you have you are contributing towards the reduction in greenhouse gases. Carbon consequation services, but at the same time, you are substituting the destruction of the deforestation of natural forests. So these private plantations can act as a substitute of the natural forests. But not only that, but you are also reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. You are absorbing from the air, and that's what you are coming up. You are coming up structures of renewable energy and all of that. So in that case, we are able to have the triple win, which we are talking about. The triple win, which we are talking about, as the result of using climate-smart agriculture. So therefore, climate-smart agriculture presents itself as a best practice that is friendly, not costly, that can be done at just at a smaller level, and you can go on developing. So achieving those key three things we have talked about: productivity, you're using small land, more output, adaptation, at the same time mitigation. Now, in Uganda, of course, Uganda is ongoing. When you look at our development plans, we are talking about this to ensure that we harness the benefits of climate-smart agriculture. So we have the National Climate Smart Agriculture Framework. We have, when you check in the National Adaptation Plan for Agriculture, you find the climate smart agriculture comes in handy. The awareness programs, financing strategies are coming up to see how can we finance some of these climate smart agriculture practices, including the nature-based adaptation solutions. But to achieve this, we need a mixture of economic instruments for us to be able to promote these ones. And these ones, we can have the market, because these ones are very important. As we know, markets in most cases fail in agricultural products because, most of our agricultural products face challenges of fluctuations and all that. So we need to come in with policies to do that. There are underinvestments in climate smart agriculture, especially by the private sector. As you know, that the agricultural sector is looked at as risky. So even the financial sectors don't want to invest in the sector. The private person can only invest where he hopes he will reap more. So we need to come in. How can we support that? So we can use economic instruments so that we are able to promote the adoption of climate-smart agriculture to be able to achieve what we have talked about: productivity, adaptation, and mitigation. So what are some of the examples of policy instruments that we can use to increase the adoption of climate-smart agriculture? I've said here you can't use one, so we need a mixture of both financial and policy mechanisms that can create incentives for people to adopt these measures. And this could take largely 4 forms. I've looked at 4 forms. 1, price-based instruments. For example, taxes. So we can look at the taxes, looking at what can we do on taxes to promote. Should we reduce on taxes? Should we give tax holidays? What should we do? Subsidies. Tariffs, and among others. Then market-based instruments. So here we're looking at tradable permits. How can we encourage that the emitters, usually the manufacturers, so maybe working with Uganda Manufacturers Association, how can we see these big manufacturers start paying off some of the agroforestry farmers, those farmers with forests, so that they are able to consume their carbon? So we can do that, tradable permits. How do we promote carbon markets? I am glad that now we have the guidelines for carbon markets in the country, and we are talking about this. These are some of the ways we can use to promote the adoption of climate-smart agriculture, especially when it comes to the nature-based solutions. Insurance schemes. Remember, I've told you people look at agriculture as a very risky, as a sector that has a lot of risks. So one way to mitigate that is through insurance scheme. I know we have one that exists in the Bank of Uganda, the agricultural credit facility. So how do we make it popular and the farmers take use of it, and then they are able to finance some of this? Public spending instruments, say grants, we have seen this. Extension services, including extension workers at least per every sub-county. And then infrastructure, especially to work on the roads, be easy to facilitate the movement of these inputs, but also the market. And then regulatory instruments. This is very important. Here, you are looking at standards. Farmers have complained some of the quality of seeds and all that, herbicides and insecticides, saying they are not working. So we need to come in with standards and then mandate. So who's supposed to do this? Who is responsible for ensuring that the quality of inputs is key, and others? We can even ban where necessary. So I have talked about this, that the country is doing this, as you can see, under price-based instruments. This is largely important to deal with the costs, so that to promote the uptake of climate-smart agriculture. So we have the environmental taxes, as you know. This is to discourage the importation of all the cars, all the inputs, and so on. We can subsidize inputs. We can give exemptions, as I've said, on imported technologies, as you can see, solar irrigation, as you can see from the in the picture. Then having the lights that are efficient in terms of using energy. Then we can also market-based instruments, for example, carbon markets. I've talked about tradable permits. How those who are emitting, paying the those who are investing in agroforestry, as you can see. So we need to make sure that our carbon markets, many forest farmers have reached out saying, who are those people who promote carbon markets? So you people who are dealing in carbon markets, please come up, create awareness so that people are able to know what you are doing, and then they take advantage of this. Together, we can reduce on carbons and ensure that we don't suffer so much from severe effects of climate change. Remember, agriculture is our backbone of the economy. So even us who are in Chikubo, other areas, we are indirectly employed by agriculture. So when the agriculture farmers sell, get money, then they are able to come and spend, even in the bars. So you can see that this sector we really need to promote, protect it. Public spending, of course, government has come in. Last year, you remember, the Minister of Agriculture gave out tractors and other things, as you can see from the photos. We have had grants to farmers to buy improved seeds, extension services. The salaries of extension workers have been increased, but now we call about upon facilitation in terms of fuel so that they are able to move from one place to another. We have seen the National Agricultural Extension System, as I've told you, the public funding for small-scale irrigation schemes coming up, and even now we are going into renewables using the solar-powered pumps and all that. These are some of the costly technologies, so we need to come in. Of course, I know even the private players have come on board. For example, ABI and others are trying to help. Of course, also the Uganda Development Bank, through their climate fund, they are also trying to promote, to finance some of these practices, especially for the farmers engaged in milk sector and other areas. So these are things we need to emulate, increase funding in terms of budget, but also ensure that we monitor to ensure, and the extension services are clear, people are educated, they know what to do. On regulations, we have seen the president coming up to ban, for example, the charcoal production in the north. We have seen, when you look at the NEMA Act of 2019, soil and water conservation requirements are there. Emission standards for imported vehicles. So you have, you have to check to see. Cars have to be inspected before they are given number plates. I think these are very important. So under regulations, we are looking at using laws, coming up with laws, rules, and mandatory statements to enforce the implementation of the sustainable practices. So that we restrict the harmful ones, those who are using fake herbicides, fake fertilizers, and all that. So here we have to come in and manage, ensure that the right materials or inputs are being used. So we have one of which I want to realize as I wind up is some of the evidence. Remember, I told you there are various forms of climate-smart agriculture using improved seeds, irrigation, mulching, water harvesting, nature-based solutions using, you have a poultry farm and then you use the manure for your crops and all that. Now, when you look at the NARO report of 2021, the FAO report of 2017, we see that using irrigation, improved seeds, mulching increased yields. And remember, once the yields of the farmers are improved, then farmers are able to stabilize their income level. They're able to take their children to school and all that. Also, as climate-smart agriculture practices such as the agroforestry, mulching, crop diversification, buffer climate impacts. That agroforestry, for example, it will protect your crops from strong winds and all that. Water harvesting, and it will make the soil is not dry as if they are exposed to sun, direct sun, and all that. So that is from the World Bank report and also the MAIF report of 2020. FAO again report, when you look at the FAO report 2015, you see that composting, reduced tillage, and cover crops improve the soil moisture. So when you cover, you are able to improve the water retention and all that. Use of solar dryers and improved storage reduces spoilage and food loss. So the harvest loss So if you use these measures, you are seeing when you're improving on the post-harvest losses. You know, we suffer a lot from this. Integrated crop livestock like tree system spreads risks and improves household income again. And this is what we are looking at, how to, as we are talking of the tenfold growth. And among the sectors we are highlighting is agricultural modernization. So you can see if we can do that alongside the current strategy development strategy we're talking about, NDP4, but also the ATMs, agriculture, modernization, tourism, minerals, and then science. You see that we need more than before. We need climate smart agriculture more than before. Manure management, replanting, biogas, we have already said this. And this is from the NEMA report 2020, that these ones restore ecosystems, and also the other three pillars, which I said, productivity, adaptation, and mitigation are achieved very well. So therefore, we need to understand that whereas agriculture is a victim of climate change, but actually it is also a major, it contributes a very big percentage in causing it. So therefore, promoting climate-smart agricultural practices can ensure farmers achieve the triple win we have talked about: increased productivity, more incomes. They are able to take their children to school, happiness, more demand in the economy because farmers have money to spend. So the manufacturers will be happy, the taxman, URA will be happy, people will be able to pay fees, the children are happy, the family is happy. Greater resilience, adaptation. In this case, we shall not cry. The yields, you have seen when the yields are not okay, how we cry. So if we can promote the CSA, we are able to undo those and then promote resilience, hedge ourselves against climate change and its effects, but also lower environmental footprints. So look at agroforestry, we shall be able to increase our green cover, we shall be able to consecrate carbon, and then, but also earn from the carbon credits. So we need to promote these ways, tradable permits, carbon credits, so that farmers start gaining from conserving trees and other incentives. So despite the promising results we have seen the results you get from the climate-smart agriculture initiatives, but the adoption is very low. It stands at 30%. So Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry, and Fisheries, we need to do a lot, working together with the research institutions, NARO, NADS, Operation Wealth Creation, and then the local government, the production officers at local governments, the extension officers. We need to do more to train our people to understand climate-smart agriculture practices, and starting with the simple ones. We don't need to start with the modern one, the expensive one, just the simple ones that actually you can have your 2 pigs here, you get manure put here, or this, and chicken, use this, and then you are able to use as manure, plant here, trees, you are able to protect, do some mulching here, water harvesting, so you can see. But all these ones requires that our extension workers are fully informed, they know what to do, and then they are also able to reach out to our people in the village. And this can work very well with the current, we are talking about the Paris Development Model initiatives and all that. So we need to do that. So therefore, for us to be able to achieve the benefits of climate-smart agriculture, we cannot use only one approach. So we need a mixture of policies, as we have highlighted, if we are to achieve the benefits of climate-smart agriculture. Thank you.